They told me she wasn't supposed to survive, and the scariest part is how calmly they said it. No drama, no pause, just facts, percentages, and a look that felt like a quiet goodbye. Everyone says you should trust medicine, trust statistics, trust protocols. But what happens when a mother's heart refuses to agree? What if belief shows up where logic runs out? That's where my story really begins. I learned the hard way that survival isn't always about strength or perfect timing. Sometimes it's about stubborn love, impossible faith, and a baby who didn't get the memo that she was supposed to give up. While the world prepared me for loss, I was preparing myself to fight, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. Miracles don't look magical when you're inside them. They look terrifying. So if you've ever been told there's nothing else to do, if you've ever felt powerless while loving someone more than your own life, this story is for you. Because what happened next challenged everything I believed about fear, motherhood, and survival. And by the end of this journey, you might realize that some lives are saved long before the doctors ever say the word safe. Our story begins way before I ever pictured myself as a mother. Back then, motherhood wasn't even on my radar, not even as a distant maybe. I was focused on surviving adulthood, paying bills, chasing plans, and convincing myself that life was finally settling down. You know that feeling when things seem calm enough that you stop expecting surprises? Yeah, that was me. I truly believed I had everything under control. Turns out, life had its own script ready. It was January 2019 when I walked into that clinic, thinking I was about to face answers about my fertility. Not hope, not fear, just information. I told myself it was routine, just another medical step, nothing dramatic. Funny how we lie to ourselves to stay calm, right? I remember sitting there, breathing slowly, convinced that whatever the result was, I'd handle it like an adult. What I didn't know was that the universe was already smiling quietly. Little did I know, life had already packed a surprise so big it would flip my entire world upside down. One of those moments where everything before feels like a warm-up act. I walked out that day thinking I was still the same person, still in control, still untouched by destiny. But something had already shifted, even if I couldn't feel it yet. And soon enough, reality would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, we need to talk." After leaving the clinic that day, life decided to add a little chaos, because why not? I twisted my ankle, hard enough to need a cast, and suddenly my focus shifted from test results to pain and inconvenience. I remember thinking, great, as if I needed another problem. My body slowed down, but my mind kept racing, trying to stay logical, calm, collected. Ironically, that accident forced me to pause right before everything else exploded. When I finally returned to get my test results, I wasn't emotionally prepared for what I heard. "You're pregnant." Just like that. Simple words, massive impact. I froze. Pregnant? On contraceptives? My brain tried to argue with reality, looking for loopholes, medical errors, anything that made sense. My hands started shaking, my heart pounding like it had missed a few beats, and suddenly the room felt way too small. I walked out holding that paper like it was written in another language. My body trembled, my thoughts tangled, and no explanation felt strong enough to ground me. Fear and disbelief sat side by side, whispering questions I couldn't answer yet. I wasn't celebrating, I wasn't crying, I was suspended somewhere in between. And deep down, something told me this shock was just the beginning of a much bigger test. The days that followed didn't give me time to breathe, let alone process the pregnancy. My body started breaking down in ways I couldn't ignore. High fever, deep pain, exhaustion that felt heavier than normal. I kept telling myself it was stress, maybe fear playing tricks on me, but something felt off, and my instincts were screaming louder than my thoughts. So I went to the hospital, hoping for reassurance, and getting the opposite. That's when they said the word chikungunya, and suddenly everything became scarier. I was only a few weeks pregnant, barely wrapping my head around that reality, and now this? Fear settled in like an uninvited guest that refused to leave. Every ache felt amplified, every symptom came with a new what if. I worried constantly about my baby, wondering if my body was already failing her. As if that wasn't enough, the father of my child discovered he had syphilis. My heart dropped all over again. I was tested immediately, praying silently while waiting for the results. When they came back normal, relief washed over me, but it didn't erase the anxiety. I realized then that this journey wouldn't be gentle, and that strength would be something I'd have to learn fast, whether I felt ready or not. At just 3 months pregnant, my relationship came to an end. Abruptly, painfully, and without warning. One moment, I thought we were navigating fear together, and the next, I was standing alone in it. The silence that followed felt louder than any argument. I remember placing my hand on my belly and realizing, for the first time, that it was just me and her now. That thought hit hard and stayed. Suddenly, I wasn't just scared, I was responsible. No shared decisions, no emotional safety net, no one to lean on at night when my thoughts spiraled. I questioned everything, my strength, my choices, my future. Still, somehow, every doubt came with a strange sense of determination. I didn't feel brave, but I kept moving forward, one day at a time, because stopping wasn't an option anymore. In August 2019, during what was supposed to be just another high-risk prenatal visit, everything changed. The nurse checked my blood pressure once, then twice, then again, each number higher than the last. The room felt tense in a way I'd never felt before. I tried to stay calm, cracking a nervous joke in my head, like, "Okay, body, that's enough drama," but my body wasn't listening anymore. They gave me medication, then another dose, and then a third. Nothing worked. I could feel my head pounding, my vision blurring, my strength slipping away. Lying there, I realized how fragile everything suddenly was. For the first time, the fear wasn't abstract. It was real, heavy, and sitting right on my chest. That was the moment I truly thought, what if I don't make it? What scared me even more was the thought of losing my daughter. The idea alone made my stomach twist and my heart race. I wasn't ready for that kind of pain, and honestly, no one ever is. As doctors moved quickly around me, I understood that this wasn't just another complication. It was a warning, and deep down, I knew a life-changing decision was getting closer. On August 14th, the doctor looked at me with that serious expression no one ever forgets. No sugarcoating, no long explanation, just the truth. "We will operate and save your life." Those words echoed in my head, heavy and final. Time slowed down in a strange way, like the world was holding its breath. In that instant, fear wasn't loud. It was cold, sharp, and incredibly clear. Without thinking twice, I answered from somewhere deeper than logic. "Save my daughter. She is the reason for my life." The room went silent, and I surprised even myself with that response. It wasn't courage, it was instinct. Everything I had been through suddenly made sense, like puzzle pieces snapping into place. I realized motherhood had already claimed me, long before I ever held her. As they prepared everything around me, memories flashed like quick snapshots. Fear, loneliness, pain, and hope all tangled together. I felt the weight of every decision, every tear, every silent prayer I had whispered so far. In that moment, I understood that love doesn't wait for the perfect time. It shows up when you're terrified and stays anyway. And soon, that love would face its biggest test yet. At 2:59 p.m., I heard my daughter cry for the first time, and that sound split my world open. It was relief, joy, and fear all at once. I barely had time to process it before everything moved fast. They didn't place her in my arms, didn't give me that moment I had imagined so many times. Instead, they rushed her away, and my heart went with her. She was taken straight to the incubator, then to the NICU, surrounded by machines I didn't understand yet. My body was exhausted, but my mind refused to rest. Joy tried to exist, but fear kept interrupting it. I loved her instantly, fiercely, and without conditions, even without touching her. That love came mixed with pain in a way I had never known before. The next day, I saw her clearly for the first time. So tiny, fragile, covered in wires and tubes. My chest tightened, and I felt the deepest pain of my life. When I asked the doctor if she was okay, the answer cut through me. If she were okay, she would be at home with you. I nodded, holding back tears, knowing that our fight had only just begun. The NICU quickly taught me that emotions don't come one at a time. They come all together. 1 minute there was hope, the next there was fear, and somehow both lived in the same breath. Every morning felt like starting over, walking in with my heart in my hands. I learned to read monitors before I even understood my own feelings. Normal life faded, and the NICU became my entire world. Every single day brought a mix of small victories and silent scares. A stable heartbeat felt like a win. A calm breath felt like a miracle. And then, just when I relaxed a little, anxiety would sneak back in. I celebrated grams like trophies and learned that progress doesn't always look dramatic. It looks consistent, quiet, and stubbornly hopeful. I sang to her softly, even when my voice shook. I did kangaroo care every day, holding her close, memorizing her warmth like it was medicine for both of us. Love became practical, measured in hours, skin-to-skin moments, and whispered promises. Somewhere between the beeping machines and late-night prayers, I understood that patience wasn't optional anymore, and soon that patience would be tested in new ways. Maria Helena faced challenges that felt bigger than my heart could hold. Blood transfusions, anemia, oxygen levels that rose and fell without warning. Each update came with a knot in my stomach. I learned medical terms I never wanted to know, and I learned patience the hard way. Every time a nurse approached her incubator, my breath paused. I realized strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's just staying present. I expressed milk 4 times a day like it was a sacred mission. I watched every drop, praying it wouldn't disappear, bargaining quietly with God between machines and plastic cups. My body was tired, my soul even more, but quitting never crossed my mind. That milk felt like the only thing I could truly give her. It was love in liquid form, fragile and powerful at the same time. I cried in the shower so no one would see me fall apart. Tears mixed with prayers, fear mixed with faith, and somehow I kept going. I asked God for strength when mine ran out, and for mercy when hope felt thin. Each challenge shaped me in ways I didn't understand yet, and as hard as it was, those days prepared us for a routine that would slowly start to change. Over time, something subtle but powerful began to change. Maria Helena started gaining weight, little by little, ounce by ounce, like she was quietly proving a point. Fewer devices surrounded her, fewer alarms interrupted our moments. The NICU routine became familiar, almost predictable, and that alone felt like progress. I learned that healing doesn't rush. It shows up consistently and asks you to trust the process. Every time she was transferred to another room, my heart celebrated in silence. No balloons, no applause, just gratitude so deep it almost hurt. Each move meant she was stronger than before, even if she still looked tiny to the world. I found myself smiling at things I once feared. The place that scared me the most slowly became the place where hope lived. The first tiny outfit, the gentle touch without wires in the way, the moments I could hold her without help, those were priceless. They felt like whispered rewards after months of endurance. I memorized every second, afraid time would steal them. And somewhere between those small victories, I sensed we were getting closer to something I barely dared to imagine. On November 21st, the words I had replayed in my head for months finally became real. We could go home. I remember standing there, trying to breathe normally while my heart raced like it didn't believe it yet. It felt surreal, almost dangerous to feel happy without fear tagging along. Months of uncertainty, sleepless nights, and silent prayers suddenly had a destination. And for the first time, that destination wasn't another hospital room. Everything we had endured flashed through my mind. every tear, every setback, every moment I thought I wouldn't make it. Leaving the NICU felt like closing a chapter written with exhaustion and faith. I looked at Maria Helena and saw more than a survivor. I saw proof that love can outlast fear. She was still small, still fragile, but stronger than any expectation placed on her. Walking out with her in my arms felt like reclaiming life itself. Maria Helena showed me that a baby's strength, paired with a mother's love, can overcome anything, even the impossible. That journey changed me forever, but it also planted a question that still echoes inside me. Because surviving is one thing, learning how to truly live after it all is another. If this story touched you, maybe it's because part of it lives inside you too. Maybe you faced fear that didn't ask permission, or loved someone when the outcome felt completely out of your control. Life doesn't warn us before it tests our limits, but it always reveals who we are in the middle of the storm. The real question is, what are you doing with the strength you've already discovered? So ask yourself, where have you been playing small because someone told you it wouldn't work? What miracle are you quietly waiting for instead of actively believing in? Growth doesn't start when everything feels safe. It starts when you decide to move forward anyway. Sometimes surviving something hard is the invitation to live differently, more intentionally, more bravely. If this story gave you hope, courage, or even a new perspective, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with me, because there are more real stories, more lessons, and more reminders that impossibilities don't get the final word. And I'd love to hear from you. What part of this journey spoke directly to your heart?